From ancient places that did terrible things to people to current cities known for the paranormal. Join me as I show you 10 horrifying cities you don't want to live in. Number 10. Hobolea, Italy. It's a sad fact of life that humans often do irrational things to try and save themselves. So when the bubonic plague arrived in Italy, the people thought the best thing to do was send the infected to an island where only the infected live. Basically, it was both exile and a death sentence, and yet they did it in droves. But that's not where the haunting ends. For later on, long after the plague had died out, the island was given a new purpose, as a mental hospital. Yeah, you can guess how that went, can't you? Long story short, the patients in the mental hospital were used for experiments of extremely dark nature. Between these two events, the place is apparently filled with spirits from both events. Oh, and if you believe the local stories, the ground that is on Hobolea is actually comprised of 50% human ash. Because the bodies of plague victims were buried to ensure they didn't spread the virus anymore. Number 9. Chateau de Brissac. Okay, this isn't a city, but trust me when I say this place deserves to be here. A castle was once built in France during the 11th century, but then it was rebuilt in 1502 and dubbed the Chateau de Brissac, after the person who ordered the rebuild. However, sometime after the rebuild, a double murder took place, and one of the victims was a woman named Dame Berthe. Ever since that murder, Berthe has apparently remained in the chateau. She's been there so long that even the residents of the house are not only aware, but they're used to her. That's sad on many levels. You'll know when you see her because she's wearing a green dress, but when you see her face, it's apparently one of a corpse. Many guests at the chateau have seen her, which is why her legend lives on. When one of your regulars is a ghost, that's horrifying. Number 8. Stull, Kansas. Stull, Kansas is a very small town. In fact, there's only about 20 people living there. But it's the true history of the town that has helped build its legend. There was a farmer who had to burn his field, and he did so. When he examined the field afterward, he found his son burned alive within it. Then, a man within the town went missing. He was later found hanged from a tree. These events both happened near the local cemetery, which has made the town and its cemetery infamous for its darkness. In fact, some people are so convinced that it's haunted or cursed that they consider it one of the 7 gateways to hell. There's even rumors that Pope John Paul II knew about this small town and made sure his plane didn't go over it as he journeyed to Colorado. Number 7. Cité Soleil, Haiti. Not all horrifying places revolve around hauntings. Sometimes, it's real-life issues that make a place bad. On the outskirts of Port-au-Prince, Haiti, is Cité Soleil, Sun City, a foul slum ruled by gangs and sitting in a pool of its own squalor. Cité Soleil has no sewage system and is composed of hovels. Garbage and excrement sit in stagnant, mosquito-infested puddles. AIDS is prolific, and the life expectancy hovers in the low 50s. There's no police force, and for years, vicious drug lords and kidnappers controlled the streets. According to the Red Cross, the shanty town of Cité Soleil is a microcosm of all the ills in Haitian society. Endemic unemployment, literacy, non-existent public services, insanitary conditions, rampant crime, and armed violence. The earthquake that happened back in 2010 set the country back decades as well. Number 6. Favelas of Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is a beautiful, sprawling city frequently visited by tourists for such events as Carnival and for the white sands of Copacabana Beach. But on the fringes of the city, there exist huge slums called favelas, piecemeal shacks built haphazardly atop each other. The dwellings are tacked together with odds and ends, cast off bits of lumber, metal, and stone. Of approximately 1,000 favelas around the city, one of the most notorious is Rocinha. Rio is a major port for cocaine traffic traveling to Europe, and the favelas are often ruled by heartless drug lords. Number 5. Detroit, Michigan. Surprised to see a major city of the world on this list? While we only covered a small part of Rio, the rest of the city is usually fine. We're talking about the vast majority of Detroit here. Once heralded as the Motor City, Detroit has more recently come to be known as one of the United States murder capitals. The decline of the American automotive industry has left its city reeling. The population has dropped 25% since 2000, and many areas have become a wasteland of foreclosed homes. The danger here is real, and people know it. People will do anything to get money and stay afloat, including robbing people and doing all sorts of other things. Number 4, Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. Mexico as a whole can be a country of great wonder and history, but as you dive into some of the major areas of cities, you'll see that there are some very seedy underbellies, such as Ciudad Juarez. In the last decade, Ciudad Juarez has become the epicenter of the Mexican drug war. Rival cartels visit horrifying violence upon each other as they battle for turf, corpses stacking up. In 2009, the city was crowned the murder capital of the world, with 130 murderers per 100,000 inhabitants. In truth, the number is probably much higher, as many people simply vanish, buried in mass graves. Police officers are often either too corrupt or too afraid to leave the station. That doesn't inspire the "I want to live there" conversation. Number 3, Medellin, Colombia. Continuing on with the drug trade, we head to the infamous Medellin, birthplace of the Medellin drug cartel and its boss, Pablo Escobar. Even with him long gone from this world, there are still thousands of murders here each year. In 2009, there were 2,899 homicides, down from an astonishing 6,500 in 1991, many tied to drug trafficking. Other schemes perpetrated by local criminals include extortion and kidnapping. Tourists are frequently targeted, held for ransom, and forced to empty their bank accounts through visits to ATMs. Number 2, Brownsville, New York. New York City, and Brooklyn in particular, have some sordid corners if one looks hard enough, but Brownsville stands out among the rest. Most of the housing in the neighborhood is made up of projects run by the New York City Housing Authority, huge, low-income apartment buildings where crime is prevalent. While much of New York has been subject to gentrification and tumbling crime rates, Brownsville remains quite dangerous, and possibly the most violent place in the entire city. In this neighborhood, some UPS drivers make their deliveries in the company of an armed guard. You know you're dark if UPS isn't taking any chances around you. And number 1, Fergana Valley, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. The dissolution of the Soviet Union made for a great deal of tension as the world's largest country was chopped into independent republics. More than 20 years later, these hostilities remain, some more bitter than ever before. Few places have seen more violence than the Fergana Valley, an area split in 3 by the nations of Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. The Fergana Valley is a center of Islamic fundamentalism and home to a patchwork of ethnicities who are known to clash viciously. The economy is deeply flawed and the government corrupt. Hundreds of thousands of refugees wander the streets, and corpses litter the sidewalks. And there you have it, everyone, a look at some horrifying places where you definitely don't want to live. Which of these places is the most terrifying in your mind? Would you even dare to try and go to some of these places? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and I'll see you next time on the channel.